Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is Angela Coulter and
Sarah Sieg Avagnoni.
bringing you this week's Ascended World right after our Wonderland discussion.
Right. Like shift gears.
Shift gears. So we had this conversation in a share online last week, but this is like it continues on and it's very interesting to perceive. But there are many right now, and it's funny because most don't even bring it up until I bring it up, right?
Right.
But I'll say, wow, it's been so full, right? Everything is so full and not busy. I don't want to use the word busy because busy is a very mind-based, ego-based kind of term.
And it's like minute details and just
Right.
chit chat kind of thing.
And this fullness is well beyond busy. This fullness is like I was explaining it to my husband. I said it's this feeling of like, okay, I'm doing great being this, like, not even just surfing the tsunami, but I'm great, becoming great at being the tsunami. But then I still have those moments where I look down and get tripped up over like or I feel like I'm going to get tripped up, even though the current's still pulling me. And so, what I say is it's so full, meaning it's like what did we talk about last week? It's like we have shifted to a place of such expanded energy, right? And embodying such an expanded energy. And we're still trying to fit it into the old paradigms of time, space, and the containers of our bodies.
Right. And the way I look at it is, you're going from drinking from a little cocktail straw to like a fire hose.
Fire hose, exactly.
It's like you got to make some adjustments in there.
And it's great because it's like committing to like infinite creation, committing to the full flow of everything. And it's almost like it's that, what have we been talking about? Oh, it's not what you think it is.
Right. Right.
And so it's been breathless almost. Like it sort of knocks the breath out of you in moments. And and I realized over the weekend, because it just continues, it's not abating at all. It's just getting bigger. Right.
Right. Right.
And so the realization is the discomfort as always comes from the ego.
Right.
Because the ego wants to control, right? And the ego wants to say, no, I wanted to do this now, and I wanted to do this now, whatever. And the universe says, shh.
Right.
This and this. And not only is it doing that, but it's doing it at such force and hugeness right now. Good morning, Sandy. Yeah, that it's like you're saying, it's like going from just sipping through a little cocktail straw to drinking out of the fire hose.
Right. Well, and I also look at it as my mother used to always say that she hated when all these things would happen all at once because she didn't get time to savor each little thing and spread it out and all this kind of stuff. And I look at that sometimes and I think, because I used to react that way, and it's like, no, I don't want all this good stuff all at once because I want to make sure that there's always something good. But then that comes from that place of I'm not good without this.
Right.
And if you're always good, then you just know that there'll always be that.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And it is the feeling. I like what you're saying about that, because you're right about the wanting to savor every moment, right? Because now we came to this. So in consciousness, on this journey of consciousness and remembrance, we do begin to savor every moment. We begin to saturate ourselves in the present. And now we're getting pushed to this next level entirely, right?
Right.
Of saturating ourselves in the present so much that we let it go just as quickly as it comes.
Right.
Right. And so there's no attachment. It's like saturating to now and now and now and now and now. And what was 5 minutes ago? I don't know.
Well, and that is that creates that flow, because if you are holding, you're not creating that vacuum, so to speak, that allows more to flow in. So it's like, if you want more, you got to let more go. You've got to.
Right. And it's funny that you say that, because this morning I posted just something on that. And you know what? I didn't even realize it was so related. I just posted it right before we got on this morning. Wait, let me go find it. It was a quote from a long time ago. Like, I think I posted it 10 years ago and I just reposted the whole thing. So I was like, what a great quote. The Tao Te Ching says that when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. When I let go of what I have, I receive what I need. Have you ever struggled to find work or love only to find them after you've given up? This is the paradox of letting go. Let go in order to achieve. It's the natural law, which I love because I'm like, well, that's so perfect because it's exactly what we're talking about today.
Well, and so many doctors, when couples are trying to have children, it's like stop trying
Yep.
and you'll get pregnant.
Yep.
And it's that you're so focused on the lack that that's what you're creating.
I know. It's funny when I remember years ago, there was somebody I was very close to who was very intent on getting pregnant. It's funny you bring that up. And I remember talking to her after like a year. And I said, you know what? Why don't you just say, well, okay, fine, let's go find a fertility specialist and just get everything checked out and make sure that it's cool, right? And there was like a 3-month wait for them to get in, right?
Right.
And guess what happened within the 3 months? She got pregnant, right?
Right.
Because she was,
she had put it on the shelf, so to speak.
yeah, and she had said, okay, well, it is what it is, and I'm just gonna blah blah blah, and then it was like, oh, guess what happened? She stopped, being attached,
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, Sandy says every time, I guess I love that every time I've let go, that's when things have happened. Always. Always.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so we're getting so pushed now to be so present that we literally have to let go of what was yesterday or what was 5 minutes ago, what was an hour ago, what I thought I was going to do today, what I thought I was going to do in an hour. And it's just been one, as my expanded self loves to show me, yeah, stop thinking about what you think you should be doing and just be present in now, because it all just rolls together and you set the intention and it creates. Just let it be.
Yep, exactly.
And it's such a but it's like we've now amped it up exponentially by like 500 or something. It's sort of crazy.
Yeah, and it's incredible. It's incredible the level of flow that we have embraced and are allowing.
And it's like, yeah, it's like, okay, well, that stuff you've all been getting pushed to, to do, and you've been practicing for all these years. Well, guess what? It's game time, and it's only getting bigger as we go. Right.
Right. And COVID gave us that time to do that internal focus and that internal house cleaning, so to speak, so to prepare for this.
Yes. So we could be completely present for this, because this is just the beginning, and it's great. And I'll tell you what, the thing is, when we let go, and I found with me, this is what I've been looking at within myself. When I let go completely and just allow and trust, right? Going back to our Wonderland stuff.
Right.
Then every moment is truly saturated, and then there's nothing. It's like, oh, this was great. Oh, and this is great, and this is great. And then you're right, but then we're so used to looking behind us after that and going, that was such a great time, that was such a great experience, or whatever, that we sometimes even just lose presence by doing that. And it's almost like we're getting pushed to this other level again. This like next level, like 50 more.
Right.
Levels.
It's like, don't let the wish or the wannabes or the memories hold you there. Mm-hmm. Allow it to, yes, that and more.
Yeah. That and more.
Flow on.
Yeah. And so I know that many have been creating. So many are starting to feel the manifest of what they have begun to create. Right. So there were many last year through all of the COVID stuff and whatever, who were like, well, I would love to do this. I would love to create this. And it's starting to come together that way. And in a way, though, that it's typically happening so fast and so furious, right? That there's no real time to, as you were talking about, that savoring every moment. Because it's like, you can savor this moment, but forget about it in the next moment, kind of thing,
To allow the next moment to come.
Yes. Yes. And knowing that, yeah, like, so Sandy says yes, and appreciate the memories for what they've given you. Exactly. But there becomes this, it's like an intrinsic acceptance of every moment. If every moment is saturated and experienced to its fullest, then it's perfect, right? And perfect. It just continues to build a stronger and bigger and wider foundation of that perfection and saturation in every moment. because then you trust more, right? And then
Right.
and the key part though is letting go and not like thinking that it has to be the same as it was 5 minutes ago or 5 hours ago or 5 days ago. And in the meantime, it takes an adjustment, because I'll tell you what, I've been having an adjustment the last several weeks. And I mean, it's pushed me to it's pushed me to edges that I didn't realize I still had, like where it almost got,
Right.
would make me cranky or agitated or whatever. And then I just would have to literally just as quickly see the agitation and be like, let it go.
Right. And I saw something in my scrolling somewhere talking about how, if the exercise is we talk about containers, that we create containers for our experiences. And if the activity is to test the strength of the container, then you're limiting yourself. But if it's to allow that container to expand, to allow more and more and more, then you get into that flow that we're talking about, versus no, I'm just going to strengthen the container and keep it the same size.
Right. Or I'm gonna push myself. That makes me think of Bugs Bunny. Honestly.
Okay.
The episode Bugs Bunny when Daffy Duck, it was like the genie in a bottle episode where he went like into the gold and he was like, mine, it's all mine, blah, blah. And the
Right.
genie's big and he's trying to stuff the genie down into the little tiny bottle until the genie finally explodes out, yeah, I know. It's something I haven't seen in like, I don't know, 35 years, but still, that's what it makes me think of. And that's what we're doing. Like that's the agitation and the feeling of being overwhelmed and tired, right? Tired.
Yeah, and almost to the point where it's like, I don't have the tools to deal with this, because you're trying to manage it.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of just letting go and allowing the flow, and trusting that you do have the tools, or the tools will come. You will remember.
It'll all work out.
Right.
Yeah. And it's because I have found, so here's another thing that I have found, and I just sort of really recognized over the weekend, is that many of the things in the 3D, so there are more than ever before. There are more things in the 3D that support this expansion. And yet there are other things that are still expanding to support it, right? So it might seem clunky, right? Internet is totally one of those things.
Right.
Or just technology or whatever. I had several things happen over the weekend where it was like, I'm like getting pushed at this breakneck speed to do this, this, and this. And it's like this thing goes out or whatever goes out, and it can't be done because of this and this limitation. And it was like trying to work around it. And then finally it was like, you know what? We'll deal with this in the way that we have to accommodate that, because it's not at this flow yet, kind of thing.
Exactly.
And so it's Sandra says everything is moving, it's so fast, but yet it's so beautiful and synchronized. I know. And that's the beauty of it. The more you just let go, the more the synchronizations happen, the more all the serendipities happen, right? And then the funny thing is, because then the mind goes, oh no, I want to sit and look at that for a minute because look at how beautiful that was. And it's like, nope.
Well, and like, I want to take credit for that, and I want to build my ego with that. And it's
right.
Like, that's just your permanent state.
Right.
So stopping the flow.
Right. And so, but what happens when we allow that acceptance? Oh God, see, now I just started yawning. It must be big stuff. Whew. But it's like, the more you do that, it's like the more you just live in that state of beauty and love, because it's all around you and everything, because it's flowing that bigly, that hugely,
Right.
And it's like game time, in the way of letting ourselves really open the faucet all the way and let ourselves be the creators that we are. And part of this is a learning curve, not really learning curve, a remembrance curve.
Right.
Right.
Well, and it's also, it's that we've talked about before, not trying to manage the details of it. It's like purely focus on what it is you really want to create. And it's that endpoint creation. So you focus on the results, not, well, first we have to do this, and then we have to do this, and then this has to happen. And then, so
Right.
if you just focus on that endpoint and allow that to draw into you, the universe is going to fill the details in with the best way it knows how, which is not limited by your smallness in this
Yeah.
separation.
Yes. Yes. And then you start feeling the remembrance of being that whole, right? And the overwhelming feeling is, yes, because I can feel myself being that little piece and those bajillion other pieces too that we've created, right?
Right.
So, yeah, Gloria says it's the idea of letting be and letting happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's that level of trust right in there.
Yep. Yep. And so the practice that we've had has been getting our mind out of our own way, right?
Exactly.
Because and the tendency, so here's the tendency, is that we feel, so the tendency for the mind, these are the tendencies that come along with this shift in energy is, gaining weight, right? Because you feel like you have to expand your body to expand your energy, right?
Right. Right. Is that the physical expansion has to match the energetic expansion.
Yep. Yep. Especially at this level, because now we've gone to such a level, right? Which is a container, right? The body is a container.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is
Right.
there's the container example.
Another thing that will show up with the ego is being late with everything, like being late, what we consider late, or not being able to seem to follow the timeline or the planned timeline or whatever, but then judging ourselves or judging others because of it,
Right.
because what we're still now, again, time is a container.
Right.
To say, I have to do this in this place or in this space. And that's probably one of our biggest challenges, because it's not just individual, it's very cultural.
Right.
But we're truly getting out of, when we are truly in the way we're expanding now, we're really getting out of defining and controlling in space and time in the way that we've been accustomed, and what I've said several times in the past week, over the past decade or so, I've become very masterful at extending time so that I could get everything in that I would like to get in. Except now it's like I'm getting pushed beyond that to say, just let go completely.
Right. Instead of trying to manage it and make sure it
Yeah.
happens. It's
Right.
like trust and let it go.
Yeah. Yep. And I find that, I don't know if you've ever really truly trust and let go of something. It's really fun to sort of play with that. When you go, okay, well, I'm going to do all this and it's going to be all done and I'll be there for lunch or I'll be there for dinner or whatever. And you just don't look at the clock again, because that's our container measurer for us, right? That's the measuring mechanism for time for us, Gloria says, can you expand on the gaining weight and the container? So yeah, well, and that's the whole thing. Like, many of us have been in like an extended period of expanded consciousness, like have gained weight. And it's not because of like a massive change in practice or whatever. And many come to me and go, well, I don't know what it is. And, I've had the same thing myself, that I've been confused about, because, there's exercise and healthy eating and everything else and very healthy lifestyle. And it's like, still this happens. And of course, what does the mind want to do? The mind goes, oh, it's an imbalance in this. And I have to take this, or I have to go to the doctor, or I have to blah, blah, blah. And so we've spent years, many of us, going, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this medical procedure. I'm going to take this pill, or I'm going to go on this diet and da, da, da. Except it's only the symptom to what's going on underneath, which is what we've known. We just is like, well, what is it that we're doing that's causing it to happen? Right.
Right.
And so with this coming in at such a huge level, it was so clear, because the first thing was, stop trying to contain things in time and space. and
Right.
manage them. Create and allow it to create itself, right? That's the
Right.
beauty of what we've done. Well, then I was shown the body is the same container as time, right? So we
Yep.
create and we have these rules that we believe we have to create in, and we have these rules on how we, hold energy in our bodies, and we've put it into our DNA for so long that that's how our body the cells function, right? So it's like, oh, well, if I have to expand to accommodate this energy, well, then I have to expand to accommodate, physically as well as energetically.
Absolutely. I
And
have to become a bigger container for myself because I'm
right.
I'm allowing my expanded self.
Yep. Yep. And so I started looking at that like really, really head on like several weeks ago. And it's like funny how suddenly weight just started dropping off. And I'm like, easy peasy lemon squeeze. Because then I shifted to, well, I can have a tiny physical container and still accommodate a huge amount of energy. That's fine.
Right.
And it
Yeah.
was something that I can't tell you exactly what it was that shifted it, but it was like, okay, and I get it. And it was like allowing myself to not just know it, but to know it at the cell level.
Right.
And I continue to do that. And also then beyond that, going back to forgiveness.
Exactly. Right.
apologizing, forgiving, and embracing, and the body and everything that it's done, and holding everything in the cells the way that it thought it had to, and that I agreed to do, and all that kind of stuff. And then having gratitude for it holding all that, and having gratitude for the fluidity to just change it like that.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So it's that's a big one. It's a big one because it's a discussion that many are having.
Right. Well, and it can be applied to, not just your physical, but it can be applied to, your havingness level
Right.
of
Mm-hmm.
what you allow for yourself.
Right.
So it can just be so many. It's so many different ways that we define ourselves. That container aspect can be attributed to all of that.
Yep. Gloria says, can't we just know it in our brain and heart? Yeah, we can. We've just got to allow ourselves to do it.
Right. We just have to trust that and embrace that and embody that.
I mean, and truly, and it's like not just saying it, but no, like really letting ourselves know it and remember, because this is truly that is expansion of ourselves to be limitless, right? To create as we choose.
Right.
And be like, and reach the potential that we know we actually have, or we're remembering that we actually have, And so it's the same with time, your body, your containers, all the containers in your life, all the containers that, we set up in our lives, because basically what the expanded consciousness is saying individually and collectively is time to blow away all the containers, time to knock down the whole house of cards.
Right.
Because it doesn't work anymore. Like, why would you try to put, well, let me think of a good example. Yeah. Why would you try to put a gallon of milk into, a shot glass?
Or $1 million into a piggy bank.
Right.
Well, I think I'd get rid of the piggy bank.
Yeah. Right. And so there's so many things that are happening for us to shift that. And it's not just like, I know there's much more than what we're talking about in terms of like the containers that we hold, but the time and space one is really big right now, because many people I talk to have had breathless moments, right? Of being overwhelmed, right? I don't know what to do first. I don't know what to do next. And you do, but the thing is, you're not trusting what guidance is telling you, like, do this now, because the mind's going, oh, but I've got to do this, this, and this. And I'll tell you what, the more I go, the more I'm getting pushed to just get beyond that and to be like, you know what? All I can do is be here.
Right. Well, and for me, example, it's like, I need to replace my air conditioner. And it's like, I was so focused on the financial piece of that's what I worked on creating, was the finances to be able to do that. Okay, so I've done that. Well, there are no air conditioners to be bought. And so it's one of those things where if I had just focused on achieving the new air conditioning system in my house, done, finished, installed, working, and me enjoying it, then I wouldn't have the hiccup of having to allow all that other stuff to catch up.
Now that you have the money, it's
Now that I've
right.
got the money, where, now seeing that, it was like that creation was excellent, and I did it, but it truly wasn't what I had in mind for my end goal.
Right. And that's what I'm finding too. Right. And so be very careful about what you're focusing on creating. Right. Because then that's the catch up.
Right.
I'm sure that's the catch up.
Yes. The universe is very literal.
Especially right now. More so than
so quick.
It's so quick. I mean, literally, it was funny. The story I have was, this weekend, amongst 3 million other things that I had going on. So my husband's been looking for a new car. We got rid of my youngest daughter's older car. She's going to get his car, blah, blah, blah. We had planned this for a while. Anyway, so you think it's going to be easy, and then it's not. We thought it was one thing, and then it wasn't. It wasn't the car. And it was all perfect. It was great. But the funny thing was, so I have this couch that I've been that I had put up on Marketplace to sell because I got another couch, and it's been sitting in my garage. So we ended up sitting in the dealership yesterday, and I'm letting technology catch up with us because there were some glitches and getting into accounts and stuff like that. And I go, oh, wait, and by the way, literally, this is exactly what I thought. I hadn't had that many bites on the couch. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the person who's going to take it to just show up, to give me their offer so they can come and get it out of the garage so that we can put the new car in the garage, right? Because it's taking up a spot in the garage right now. And I'm like, let's just do that. And then, went back to us talking, and I literally got beeped less than 5 minutes later by somebody who put out an offer. And then I said, great. When can you get it? They're like, how about 8:00 tonight? I'm like, bonus. Done. And I was like, that's the power of creation. I was just literally like, yeah, it's time to do that. Let's get rid of it now. Come on, show up. Let's do this. You move on. And that was great. So, so it's fun. So instead of letting it be overwhelming, it's for us to say, okay, well, how can I have fun with this? Right. I mean, and now it's almost like it's a new symphony. And that's where it feels like we have those clunky moments because it's everybody catching up to ourselves. Right.
Well, it's like sight reading a new piece of music. Everybody's trying to figure out the tempo and the sharps and the flats and everything else. And so there're going to be some sour notes. And
that sounded a little sour. Yeah.
Some lagging in the tempo and some sections coming in late. But you know what? Practice to the new symphony.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Practice to the new symphony. And that feels smooth, much smoother. And acceptance when we say, okay, yeah, we're going to practice this a little bit. So it's going to be a little clunky and it's going to be a little funny. It might sound some odd in different places, but it's exciting. So if we let it be exciting because it's a new piece, right? It's a new symphony to say, yay, we're in this new place now. And that was the fun. I literally just laughed when that beep came in because I knew as soon as my phone beeped, I knew that's what it was. And I was like, done, check. But and then what was funny was, so we ended up having to go where we have to go pick up this morning, get the car, and didn't bring it home last night. I said to my husband, see, it was just because we had to get the couch out of the garage first.
Had to make space.
I had to make that space. And that's that letting go, right? Letting go to allow. And it's just like this flow. And you might think one is related to another. And then all of a sudden you realize one thing that you thought was completely unrelated was actually the thing that held up this other part. So
the linchpin. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's all fun. If we let it to be fun, it's a matter of letting ourselves laugh at it. And I found myself getting irritable because of like some of the glitches and whatever. And then I was like, you know what? I mean, it wasn't just that, it was all the whole weekend. It was just all these things that had to be done and da da. And all pressing things, right? All things to be really present with. And then finally I was just like, well, I can only be present. I can't change
Right.
this because all of this feels important and it feels like it's true and whatever. So I can only be present with it.
Right. And it's all happening in this moment.
Right.
And that's the only one that matters.
That's right. Right. And outside of space and time, there is nothing. There's no time anyway. Right. And in the expanded consciousness. So so right now, let's everybody take a deep breath. And say, you know, and in our creation, the thing is to remember in the tsunami, being the tsunamis of creation, that we are the creators. And to, as full as every moment is, it's really pertinent for us to remember that we are creating. So we can create it to be stressful, because as soon as we start saying, I'm overwhelmed, you'll continue to be overwhelmed.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
I mean, of course, I did say, I'm like, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. And I said, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. And then I was like, okay, and I'm going to change that because I can just let this flow. Right. So just be cautious of our thoughts and our words, because now they are so instantaneous.
Right. And they're so pointed and powerful.
Yes. Yes. It's like we took some kind of, it's like what was that? Remember that movie Limitless, where the guy took the drug and like, or whatever, or even Lucy, where it's like that experience. Like we went from like the 0 or the 10% to like 90% in one step.
Right. Right.
And we're getting up to 100 pretty quick. So it's like,
so buckle up.
Yeah, buckle up. Oh, Lucy's great movie for that.
Yes.
So
yes, it is.
So you know what? I think really the place for us to focus today, and I know this is sort of short, but we sort of got to the point.
Right. We did.
Which is the point now, right?
That's right.
Is to, maybe it's allowing ourselves to allowing ourselves to accommodate this expansion and remembrance. And it wasn't a matter of fitting into like when we had done the share online last week, it wasn't a matter I was shown of fitting into the containers, but to just remember that the containers are actually a part of us and we're not a part of them. So it's that we flow through them instead of limit ourselves to be inside of them.
Exactly. Right. Right.
Because we've forgotten that they're tools and they're not,
Defining.
It's not outside of us. Yeah.
Right.
So what I had been shown was like sort of being in a field of flowers and running my hands through the flowers and just being able to run through the flowers instead of hurting the flowers or whatever. It's like, because they're a part of me as much as I'm a part of them. And it's really losing a line of separation that I can't quite explain. So it's almost like allowing that expansion beyond all containers, right? And to let the containers be optimal in the moment, right? And whatever that presents to be. Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay. Y'all ready?
Let's do that.
Let's just close our eyes, take a deep breath. Remember ourselves in wholeness and oneness together, where we hold that energy and vibration, where all that is our truth and remembrance. All right. I think I'm ready to. Yeah, it was nice. It was like just this, it was so flowing. And I can't even remember. There was a bunch of stuff I saw, but I can't remember. My chimes outside started going, and it was almost like I could be the note on the wave of the frequency, and I was like, oh, that's lovely. It's like, and then I sort of drifted out. I don't really see a lot beyond that. About you?
Yeah, it was like just pure bliss. And I could see, it was like I could expand out, but then I could look, I could focus in on my core, so to speak, and I could see just this intense density, and it was like that's this me and the separation, and it was like, but I didn't see any container, so to speak, and it was like just that compact density right there at the core, and it was like, so I can be this and I can be that, and I don't have to allow that to expand to
Right.
limit. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That was really nice.
Everything becomes almost like independent in its presentation and creation versus relativity, right? Like relativity sort of goes away in many respects because it just is, this is it. And we can be beyond that. So that was really cool. That was
very allowing.
Yes. Yep. Wow, we did this in under 45 minutes today.
we really, I feel like it's been like an hour or so.
Sandy says, I also didn't feel the container, so much expansion and limitlessness. Yeah, I mean, and that's for us to embrace, just letting ourselves be that.
Right.
It's really starting, honestly, it's really starting to truly exist as beyond the physical beings that we are in every moment, and letting it just be, this physical part just be a part of it. It's almost like we have every moment's a symphony in itself, right? So it's like,
and complete in and of itself.
Yes.
It's not dependent or on the past or the future.
That feels really good.
Like, whew.
All right. So thank y'all for joining us. And yeah, I know it feels like we've been on for an hour. Well, I guess we have, because we had the Wonderland stuff before this. So maybe that's it. All right. Well, see y'all next week for Ascended World. And tomorrow morning, we are doing the bonus day of Wonderland and bringing it all together, which is going to be a great discussion of connecting dots and the whole getting a vision of the whole program and what that's going to entail. So
awesome.
Thanks for joining us. This is Angela Coulter.
And Sarah Sieg Avagnoni.
Signing off with this week's Ascended World. Have a good one, everyone.